Breaking news, breaking news. Did it. Breaking news, breaking news. Okay. Well, maybe it's breaking news. We got a tip that this was coming down earlier today. Here, let me turn my light on. Otherwise, I look scary like some of the other creepy videos out there. Hey, Edgy Tim here. I think exciting news, and I'll get in. I'll give you my take on it. But announced at today's IHSA board meeting. Coming out of the Football Advisory Committee, the IHSA Board has approved a recommendation to expand 1 through 32 seating for all 8 classes. So, again, a huge shift and a huge change for the IHSA for the playoff field starting this coming football season. So, starting in August, this will take effect. Currently, we had just 8A and 7A seated 1 through 32. Now, after a handful of years of talking about why is this just for 2 classes, IHSA agreed and approved it. And starting this coming IHSA football season, we will have 1 through 32 seating, a true 1 through 32 seating for all 8 classes. My thoughts, my instant reaction, I think it's great. I really do, for several reasons. I think that what we've learned from 8A and 7A, they're we'll call it an experiment with seating 1 through 32, is it is a true playoff seating. You really don't have a lot of room to complain. Everyone understands the seating system. It somewhat makes sense. There would be some tweaks I would add in, and we've got plenty of time to get into that down the road. But I think overall, the 7A and 8A coaches have been pretty satisfied. I think we've gotten some terrific matchups. And I think what the true seating does is there are certain areas and pockets of the state and certain classes that seem to be kind of locked in to the same path every year. And I think what this will do, and obviously I think 6A, 5A, and 4A is going to see a ton of impact. But then there's others. When I think of this immediately, the first conference I think of is the NUIC in the northwest part of the state, the 1A, 2A powerhouse conference. You know, they've got to be dancing up north because for years we've watched Lena Winslow and Forreston and Galena and all these terrific teams up at the NUIC beating the crap out of each other just to get to a state title game. And in many cases, and I think a lot of my 1A and 2A friends would agree with this, probably the 2 best teams in the state at most points could have been 2 teams from the NUIC. So I think that conference has to be thrilled with this. There are others as well. I think if you're in the Fox Valley in Class 6A, you're thrilled with this. Look at last year under the old playoff seating system, which is geographic. You still had a half dozen Fox Valley teams in between 6 and 5 and 6. Mostly 5 and 6, advance to at least a quarterfinal round. So again, that conference is a monster in 6A in particular. Now, they all of a sudden, Cary Grove and Prairie Ridge doesn't need to run into each other in the quarterfinal every year. Maybe there's an actual chance we could see under this new playoff system, we could see Cary Grove against Prairie Ridge in a state title game. Maybe. It changes things up in a lot of different levels, and I think in a positive. I think what I'm really encouraged about with this move, and again, kudos to IHSA because they don't get a lot of props and a lot of praise, but I think they are trying to make our playoff system the best possible playoff system it can be. Maybe the small enrollment schools won't like this. I'll certainly get into that in the next few weeks. We'll talk to some coaches and get some feedback and thoughts. I have message boards that are open 24 hours, 7 days a week for you to post your thoughts. Would love to hear your thoughts on this, and I have a feeling I'm going to hear your thoughts on this. I'm sure there are people that are opposed to this. The first thing off the top of my head, I think for the smaller enrollment schools in particular, is travel. You are going to have some incredibly long bus rides for a first round or a second round playoff game. Now, people will counter that you are missing out on part of the educational experience of loading up a bus and taking kids across the state to play against teams they've never seen before. I get that. I agree with that. But again, I can see opposition to this as well. So I say, hey, let's give this a shot. We gave it a shot in 7A and 8A. Let's give it a shot in 6A and below. Let's see how it goes. Give it a chance or two. You never know. It might just work out. Again, encourage of the fact that I think IHSA recognized and the coaches advisory committee recognized, is this the best playoff system we have? Can we do it better? Can we make these better playoffs? And I think we are going to get better playoffs. I think we are going to get true champions in 6A through 1A. And look, I'm not taking anything away from previous playoffs. Look, you play who you're matched up against. But again, I think of Sacred Heart in Rochester, an incredible semifinal game down in Rochester last fall. Why couldn't that have been a state title game? It could have very well happened under this new system. Maybe Sacred Heart and Rochester were the two best teams. We would have never known under that old system. This new system, we have a better chance, I think, of getting who should be the two best teams, or let's face it, the two hottest teams in the state playoff field. Again, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to make things even more interesting from a playoff pairing night and seedings. I think Steve Soucy's job just got quite a bit easier because you are taking the geographic principle out of this. So there is no more rubber bands and planning who's going to go where and where the cut line is. Sure, it was fun. Not for Steve Soucy, but for us, it was fun to see where it goes. Now you take the fuzzy math and the hocus pocus out of the equation for IHSA football, which is exactly why I love this. No questions asked, 1 through 32 true seeding. Let's play. So there you go. There are my thoughts. Go to the message board. Let me know what you think about this latest move. And again, my thoughts, kudos IHSA and kudos Football Advisory.